Are you tired of living your life to please others? It's time to break free from the cycle of people pleasing and step into your true power. In today's message, we're talking about the journey to authenticity, setting boundaries, and finding the freedom that comes with living for yourself. Get ready to embrace your real self because you deserve it. I want you to sit back and think for a moment. You ever find yourself bending over backwards, doing everything you can for others, sacrificing your peace, your time, your energy, just to make them happy? You smile. You say the right things, you please, and you please. But deep down inside, something's missing. You're left empty, drained, and honestly, you're starting to lose sight of who you really are. That's the life of people pleaser. Now, don't get me wrong. It's natural to want to help. It's human to want to make people feel good, to be liked, to be accepted. But when that becomes your reason for existing, when it starts to define you, that's when things go sideways. You've heard it before, you can't pour from an empty cup. But how many of you out there have been running on fumes, trying to fill up everyone else's cups while yours is bone dry? Let me tell you something. The truth is, you can't live your life everyone else. You're not here to be someone else's puppet. I know it feels good to be liked. It feels good to be needed. But what does it mean when you're pleasing others at the expense of your own happiness? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You spend all your time worrying about what people think, trying to meet their expectations, adjusting who you are to make them comfortable. And for what? For a pat on the back. For a momentary burst of approval. I'm here to tell you that's not living. That's surviving. Let me ask you this. How long are you going to hold on to that fear? That fear of disappointing someone. That fear of them not liking you. You know, there's a truth here that some of you may not want to hear. People will disappoint you, no matter how hard you try to please them. They will let you down. And you know what? It's not your fault. If you've been stuck in that cycle of pleasing, of making sure everyone else's needs are met first, it's time to break free. It's time to take back control. It's time to put yourself first, not in a selfish way, but in a way that says, I'm worthy of respect. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of taking care of my own needs. Because let me tell you something, when you start treating yourself like you matter, others will take note. They'll respect you more. They'll appreciate you more. And guess what? You'll be happier too. But don't expect it to be easy. No one ever said it would be. This is a battle against years of conditioning, against the voice in your head that says, if I don't keep everyone happy, I'm a failure. Nah, that's a lie. You are not a failure because you can't please everyone. In fact, you're stronger because you've realized that your worth doesn't come from how many people you can make smile. It comes from who you are when no one's looking. It comes from your integrity, your honesty, your authenticity. That's where your power lies. So how do you start? Start small. Start with saying no when you know you should. I start with setting boundaries, even if it feels uncomfortable. And trust me, it will feel uncomfortable. You're not here to live in comfort. You're here to grow. You're here to stand tall, to live unapologetically, to put your needs and your peace first. You gotta let go of the need for constant approval. There's a power in independence. There's a freedom in saying, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And I'm not saying this out of arrogance. I'm saying this out of self-respect. You deserve to be the most authentic version, not the version that everyone else expects you to be. And let me tell you something, you will lose people along the way. Some will not understand. Some will be angry, but that's all right. The ones who are meant for you will stay. The ones who truly value you will respect your boundaries. And those are the people who matter. Those are the people who will lift you up, not drain you. So when you wake up tomorrow, I want you to take a good look at yourself in the mirror. And I want you to ask yourself, am I living for me? Or am I living for everyone else's approval? Because the truth is, When you start living for yourself, you start attracting the right people, the right opportunities, and the right kind of peace. And let me tell you something, peace is priceless. You'll find your energy shifting. You'll find your joy returning. You'll find that the world keeps spinning even when you stop bending to everyone's will. It's going to take time. You're going to slip up. You're going to have days when you feel like going back to your old habits. But that's part of the process. That's part of growth. So don't beat yourself up. Just keep moving forward. And remember this, you're not here to be liked by everyone. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to be the best version of yourself, unapologetically. And when you do that, when you show up as your true self, you'll attract the right people and the right energy. You'll find the happiness and fulfillment you've been searching for all along. So if this message resonated with you, if it hit you deep in your soul, I want you to do something for me. I want you to hit that subscribe button. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't keep this message to yourself. Because the more we spread this truth, the more we all grow. We all deserve to live authentically. We all deserve to put ourselves first. So let's make this a movement. And if you're still struggling, if you're still feeling like you don't know how to break free, just remember you're not alone. We're all in this together. You are not a people pleaser. You are a force, a force of nature. And you're just getting started. People pleasing starts innocently enough. It feels good to make someone happy, to see them smile, to hear their praise. It's easy to tell yourself that you're being kind, that you're being generous, that you're a good person. But what happens when this habit turns into a pattern? You begin to lose yourself in the process. You bend over backwards to meet other people's expectations, to make sure their needs are always met. And at first you don't mind. You think this is just who I am. But what happens when you look up and realize that you've neglected your own needs for too long? What happens when you feel that emptiness inside, that exhaustion? Because you've given so much, yet received so little in return. You see, people pleasing isn't just about being nice. It's about sacrificing your own peace and joy in order to make someone else comfortable. It's about putting yourself last over and over and over again, until you forget what it feels like to put yourself first. You become so focused on keeping others happy that you stop asking yourself if you're truly happy. You start living for the applause, for the recognition, for the fleeting moment of approval. But that approval is temporary. It's not lasting. It fades as soon as the next person comes along asking for more of you. And you give and give until there's nothing left. But here's the thing. Sacrificing your peace for the sake of approval costs more than just your time and energy. It costs your confidence. It costs your sense of self. You begin to lose sight of who you are, what you want, and what truly matters to you. The more you give, the less you feel like yourself. You're not living your life. You're living someone else's idea of who you should be. You lose touch with your own values, your own dreams, because you're too busy being what others need you to be. And every time you compromise your own well-being for someone else's comfort, that emptiness inside grows just a little bit more. And when you look in the mirror at the end of the day, you start to wonder, who am I really? The person staring back at you isn't the one you've been fighting to be. You put on so many masks, played so many roles that you can't remember were without all that pressure. It's draining. It's exhausting. It's not sustainable. And yet you keep doing it because you're afraid of what might happen if you stop. You're afraid of the judgment, the rejection, or worse, the disappointment that might come when you finally stand up for yourself and say no more. But let me tell you this, people will take everything from you and leave you with nothing. It will take your peace, your energy, and your time. It will take your joy, your sense of self-worth, and your authenticity. But there's a way out. You don't have to keep sacrificing yourself. You don't have to keep pouring from an empty cup. The moment you start prioritizing your own peace, the moment you stop seeking approval from everyone around you, that's when the true healing begins. You start to remember who you really are and what you truly deserve. That's when you begin to understand that your worth doesn't come from what others think of you, but from the strength of who you are when you stand tall in your truth. For far too long, many of us have tied our worth to the approval of others. We've convinced ourselves that our value is determined by how much we can give, how much we can make others happy, or how many people we can please. We've been conditioned to believe that the more we give, the more we're worth. And somewhere along the line, we lost sight of a simple truth. Your worth is not tied to how others see you. Your worth is intrinsic. It doesn't come from their smiles, their praise, or their expectations. It comes from within. When you live for the validation of others, you place your happiness in their hands. You make your self-worth dependent on how they perceive you. And this, my friends, is a dangerous game. Because no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you give, someone will always have something more they want from you. Someone will always want you to be someone you're not. If you live to please others, you lose yourself in the process. You lose the most important connection of all, the one with yourself. Understand this: you are worthy because of who you are, not because of what you do for others. You don't need to earn love or respect by constantly bending and stretching to meet someone else's needs. You don't need to prove your value by being everything to everyone. Your authenticity is what gives you power. The moment you stop chasing external validation and start honoring your true self, you step into your full potential. And the beauty of it is the right people, the people who matter, will see that authenticity. And they'll value you are not for what you can do for them. You see, being true to yourself is the ultimate form of self-respect. It's saying, I honor my boundaries. I know what I need. And I won't apologize for needing it. It's not about being selfish, it's about being self-aware. When you're true to yourself, you stop measuring your worth by how much you can give. You start measuring it by how much you can give to yourself, the time you take for your own growth, the respect you have for your own values, and the love you show to the person in the mirror. Because when you're truly aligned with who you are, you don't need anyone else's approval to know your worth. And here's the thing: when you stop seeking validation from others, your confidence starts to rise. You begin to trust yourself more, to believe in your own judgment, and to value your own opinions. You stop allowing others to define you, and you start defining yourself. This shift is not an overnight process. It takes courage. It takes patience. But when you start living for yourself, when you start standing firm in your own truth, you become untouchable. Your worth is no longer up for negotiation. And that, my friends, is freedom. No matter how much you try, no matter how hard you work, you can't please everyone. That's the cold, hard truth. You can give your time, your energy, your love, and still someone will find a reason to be upset. Someone will always want more, expect more. And when you don't meet those expectations, you're left wondering what went wrong. The truth is, people's expectations of you are not your responsibility. You can't control what others want or how they react. No matter how much you bend or stretch to accommodate their needs, there will always be someone dissatisfied. At some point, you've got to come to terms with the fact that no matter what you do, you'll never be able to please everyone. People have different opinions, different needs, and different ways of seeing the world. You can spend your whole life adjusting yourself to fit into their mold, but you'll never get it right in everyone's eyes. There's always going to be someone who's disappointed, someone who's upset. And guess what? That's not on you. You can't carry the weight of everyone's expectations and still remain true to who you are. It's impossible. Trying to please everyone is like trying to chase a moving target. The goalposts keep shifting, and just when you think you've reached the mark, they'll move even further. It's an endless cycle that drains you, wears you down, and keeps you from focusing on what truly matters: your own peace, your own goals, your own happiness. If you're constantly living to satisfy others, you miss out on the chance to satisfy yourself. The energy you give away in the pursuit of validation could be better spent building the life you want to live, the life that aligns with your values. And here's the thing: it's okay to disappoint people sometimes. It's okay to say no and not feel guilty about it. It's okay to put your needs first, even if it means letting someone down. If you're living for everyone else, you're not really living. You're just surviving, trying to meet an impossible standard that's always changing. People will come and go, but the only person you have to answer to at the end of the day is yourself. So let go of that pressure. Let go of the belief that you have to make everyone happy. It's a burden you don't need to carry. When you finally realize this truth, you'll feel a weight lift off your shoulders. You'll stop measuring your worth by how well you meet other people's expectations. You'll start living for yourself, not for approval. And in doing that, you'll find the freedom you've been searching for. The more you'll go try and please everyone, the more you'll discover the people who truly value, the ones who see your worth and appreciate your authenticity. Those are the people who matter, and they will respect you for being unapologetically yourself. One of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life is learn how to say no. Saying no feels like a betrayal at first. You spend so much of your life saying yes, doing everything for everyone else, that turning someone down feels like you're letting them down, like you're not being the person they need you to be. But here's the truth. Saying no isn't about rejecting people. It's about protecting yourself. It's about drawing a line and saying, this is where I stop, and this is where I begin. It's not about being selfish. It's about being self-aware enough to know that you can't give what you don't have. At first, saying no will feel awkward, maybe even uncomfortable. You'll feel guilty, as if you're disappointing someone or breaking some unwritten rule. You'll wonder if people will judge you, or if they'll stop asking you for help altogether. But let me tell you this. You can't build a life of purpose and peace by constantly giving in to every request, every demand. You can't be everything to everyone and still be your best self. Setting boundaries is about reclaiming your time, your energy, and your mental well-being. It's about respecting yourself enough to know that you deserve space to breathe, to recharge, to grow. In the beginning, people may not understand your boundaries. They may test them, push against them, even try to make you feel bad for saying no. But this is where you have to stand firm. You've spent so long accommodating others, living at the expense of your own needs, that now is the time to take control. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to put yourself first. People who truly respect you will understand that. They'll honor your boundaries, just as you should honor theirs. And those who don't, well, that's not your problem. The right people will value you for the boundaries you set. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Saying no challenges every part of your people-pleasing nature. It's like fighting against years of conditioning, telling yourself that your worth comes from how much you give. But here's the thing, real growth happens when you start putting yourself first to God. It happens when you stop overextending yourself and start investing in your own needs. And as uncomfortable as it might be at first, that discomfort is a sign of growth. It's a sign that you're stepping into a new phase of your life where your peace and your well-being are just as important as anyone else's. As you practice saying no, as you set boundaries and honor, something amazing happens. You begin to feel more grounded. You begin to feel stronger. Your confidence starts to grow because you're no longer living in fear of disappointing others. You're living in the truth of who you are and what you mean. And that, my friend, is how you start reclaiming your life. Boundaries are not walls. They're bridges to a life of greater authenticity, peace, and respect. The more you embrace the power of saying no, the more you'll find your voice, your strength, and your sense of self. For far too long, many of us have been conditioned to chase approval, to seek validation from others in every area of our lives. We want people to like us, to praise us, to make us feel seen. And so we shape ourselves to fit into their expectations. We change who we are. We hide parts of ourselves that might not be accepted, all in the name of approval. But here's the truth. Seeking constant approval is a never-ending chase. No matter how many times you've been to meet someone's expectations, it's never enough. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. The more you pour in, the more leaks out. What happens when you finally stop seeking approval from everyone around you? You realize how exhausting that life truly is. Living for other people's validation drains your energy, steals your joy, and ultimately leaves you empty. You spend so much time and effort trying to be everything to everyone that you forget what it means to be true to yourself. You start to lose sight of what makes you unique, what you truly desire, what you're passionate about. The pursuit of approval blinds you to the power of authenticity. The strength that comes from simply being who you are, unapologetically. Being authentic means letting go of the need for approval and standing firm in your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It means having the courage to say, this is me, take it or leave it. And yes, sometimes that means disappointing people because not everyone will understand or appreciate your authenticity. But here's the key. If you're always living to please others, you'll never fully know who you are. You'll never experience the depth of fulfillment that comes from being true to yourself. When you stop seeking approval, you open the door to your own happiness, to your own sense of purpose, and to relationships that are based on genuine connection, not superficial validation. It's important to understand that being true to yourself doesn't mean you don't care about others. It just means that you care more about your own peace and integrity than the fleeting satisfaction that comes from someone else's praise. Living authentically is about finding your own voice, listening to your own heart, and letting that guide you, rather than constantly adjusting to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. When you choose authenticity, you choose a life that's based on your own values, your own dreams, and your own purpose. That's where true fulfillment lies. As you begin to prioritize authenticity over approval, you'll notice a shift within yourself. You'll start to feel a sense of empowerment that comes from standing strong in who you are. You'll attract people who value you for the real you, not the person you've tried to become in order to fit in. And though it may be hard at first as you let go of the need to please others, you'll find that the life you're building is one of greater peace, joy, and fulfillment. It's a life that's led by your truth, and that, my friend, is the most powerful thing you can ever do. Fear is a powerful force. It sneaks into every decision, every thought, every moment of doubt. And for many of us, the fear of disappointing others is one of the strongest fears we carry. We fear that if we say no, if we stand up for ourselves, people will be upset, angry, or disappointed in us. We fear that we'll lose their approval, their love, or their respect. And so we live in constant anxiety, always second-guessing ourselves, always trying to please everyone around us just to avoid that uncomfortable feeling of letting someone down. But let me tell you something, that fear is keeping you from living the life you're meant to live. When we live in fear of disappointing others, we give them control over our lives. We let their expectations shape our actions, their needs dictate our decisions. But here's the truth, you can't control how other people will react to you. You can't manage their feelings or their reactions. You can only control how you show up in the world. And when you allow fear to drive your choices, you are sacrificing your own peace, your own growth, and your own authenticity. Fear keeps you in a cage, one of your own making. It holds you back from stepping into the fullness of who you are. Letting go of the fear of disappointing others is one of the most liberating things you can do. It's like taking the chains off and finally feeling the freedom to breathe. The moment you stop living in constant fear of what others might think or how they might react, you begin to embrace your own truth. You start making decisions based on what is best for you, not based on what will make everyone around you happy. And yes, that means you might disappoint some people along the way. But here's the kicker, disappointing someone isn't the end of the world. It's a temporary feeling that will pass. And the freedom you gain from standing in your truth is priceless. The more you go of fear, the more you realize that the people who truly care about you will respect your decisions, even if they don't always agree with them. True relationships are built on respect, not on meeting everyone's expectations. You will attract people who appreciate your authenticity and your courage to live your truth, rather than people who want you to be something you're not just to make them feel comfortable. When you stop letting fear control your life, you create the space for real connections, for deeper relationships, and for more genuine experiences. So what's the cost of holding on to fear? It's your happiness. It's your peace. It's your authenticity. Letting go of the fear of disappointing others is an act of self-love. It's giving yourself permission to be who you really are without the need for approval. And once you step into that freedom, you'll never look back. You'll see that living your truth is the most powerful thing you can do, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. As you start setting boundaries and prioritizing your own needs, something inevitable happens, you will lose some people. It's a harsh truth, but it's a necessary one. The people who have gotten used to you always bend knees, always bending over backward to please them, might not react well when you start putting yourself first. They may not understand why you're no longer available to meet their demands, or why you're standing firm in your boundaries. And in some cases, they might even walk away. But here's something important to remember. Losing people isn't a sign of failure, it's a sign of growth. When you start growing into the person you're meant to be, shedding the layers of people-pleasing and self-sacrifice, not everyone is going to be on board. Some people might feel threatened by your newfound strength, your ability to say no, or your decision to live for yourself rather than for them. They might have relied on you being a constant, dependable source of validation, and your change disrupts that. And while that might hurt, it's crucial to understand that these departures are not a reflection of your worth. They're simply a result of you outgrowing relationships that no longer serve you. Here's the reality: people come and go, but the right people will always stick around. When you begin to honor your boundaries and live authentically, the people who truly respect and care for you will stay. They will understand your need for space, your need for personal growth, and your need to protect your peace. These are the people who value you not for what you can do for them, but for who you are at your core. And those relationships will be deeper, more meaningful, and more fulfilling, because they are built on mutual respect and understanding. It's natural to feel a sense of loss when people leave your life. After all, you've spent so much time and energy trying to make them happy. But trust that this loss is making space for new, more aligned connections to enter. It's clearing the way for people who truly see you for who you are, people who will encourage your growth instead of holding you back. The people who respect your boundaries, who value your self-worth, will help lift you up, not drain you. And those are the relationships that will stand the test of time. As painful as it may be to lose some people along the way, remember that it's all part of the journey. You are not responsible for how others feel when you set boundaries. You are responsible for your own growth, your own peace, and your own well-being. The right people will always respect that. So while it may be hard to let go, trust that those who truly belong in your life will stick around, and they will respect you for the person you're becoming. Personal growth is not a comfortable journey. If you think you can evolve into the best version of yourself without experiencing some discomfort, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Growth requires you to face the things you've been avoiding, to confront the habits that no longer serve you, and to challenge the limiting beliefs that have kept you stuck. And let me tell you, it's not easy. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. It's like stepping out of the familiar and into the unknown. But it's that discomfort that will push you toward a better, stronger version of yourself. When you spent years pleasing others, when you built your life around meeting everyone else's expectations, breaking free from that pattern isn't going to feel easy. It will feel foreign. Saying no, setting boundaries, prioritizing yourself over others, these are all uncomfortable actions at first. You'll feel the tension between your old self and the person you're trying to become. You'll feel the urge to revert back to what's comfortable, to give in, to say yes just to avoid the discomfort. But you have to resist that urge. It's in the discomfort that your growth happens. The discomfort you feel when you're changing old habits is actually a sign of progress. It's a sign that you're stepping into new territory, that you're breaking free from the old patterns that kept you stagnant. Change doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without effort. There will be moments when you question if it's worth it. There will be days when you feel like giving up. But those are the moments when you have to push through. Trust the process. Trust that the discomfort is a temporary phase. And on the other side, there's a new version of you, one that is stronger, more confident, and more aligned with your true self. Growth isn't linear. Some days will feel like progress, while others will feel like setbacks. That's normal. The key is to keep moving forward, even when it feels like you're not making any headway. It's about showing up for yourself every day and committing to your journey, even when it's tough. You don't have to have it all figured out right away. You don't have to be perfect. What matters is that you keep going. What matters is that you trust that each step, no matter how small, is leading you closer to the person you're meant to become. The journey of personal growth is challenging, but it's also incredibly rewarding. The discomfort you feel today will turn into strength tomorrow. The habits you break today will create the foundation for a better life in the future. As you continue on this path, you'll realize that growth isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace. It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about facing it head on, knowing that it's a necessary part of the process. And as you push forward, you'll discover that the discomfort fades and is replaced with a deep sense of fulfillment and confidence in who you are becoming. When you spend your life living for others, you end up pouring your energy into people and situations that drain you. You give, you bend, you accommodate, all in the hopes of receiving approval, love, or acceptance. But here's what happens when you're constantly living for the validation of others. You're not being true to yourself. You're not attracting people or opportunities that align with your real values, your real desires. You're only drawing an energy that is based on a false version of yourself, one that is constantly trying to please or fit into someone else's mold. The right energy, the kind that truly nourishes and uplifts you, only comes when you begin to live for yourself. Living for yourself doesn't mean becoming selfish or dismissing others' needs. It simply means that you are choosing to prioritize your peace and your happiness. It means you stop bending over backwards to meet the expectations of people who don't see you for who you truly are. When you begin living authentically, you start showing up as your real self unapologetically and unapologetically. And this is when the right energy starts to flow into your life. The right people will show up. People who are aligned with who you are and what you stand for. They will respect your boundaries and appreciate your authenticity. And those are the relationships that will truly enrich your life. As you focus on living for yourself, you'll notice something amazing start to happen. Opportunities will come to you. When you stop chasing approval and start living in alignment with your true self, the universe has a way of opening doors for you. You attract opportunities that resonate with your purpose, that excite you and inspire you. The right energy creates the right circumstances. When you are true to yourself, you become magnetic. People are drawn to your authenticity, your confidence, and your sense of purpose. And in return, you begin to attract experiences that will help you grow and flourish, rather than ones that leave you drained and depleted. The more you embrace living for yourself, the more you'll realize that you don't need to hustle for validation or try to make everyone happy. You'll feel a sense of calm and peace in knowing that the right people and opportunities will come when you're aligned with your truth. You'll find that the relationships you once worked so hard to please, the ones that caused you stress and anxiety, will fade away. And what remains will be the ones who truly value and respect you for who you are. You'll no longer need to force connections because the right people will naturally gravitate towards you. Living for yourself is the most powerful thing you can do. When you prioritize your own peace and authenticity, you open the door for everything you need, both personally and professionally. The right people will show up, and the right opportunities will present themselves. It's a natural result of living in alignment with who you are. And it's an invitation to step into a life that is filled with true connection, growth, and fulfillment. Absolutely. Here's the expanded version of that key point in 5 paragraphs. We all have a role to play in this journey of transformation. As you begin to break free from the chains of people-pleasing and step into your authentic self, something powerful happens. You begin to realize that you are not alone in this struggle. There are countless people out there, just like you, who are trapped in the same cycle of seeking validation, approval, and living for others. But it doesn't have to be this way. When you start living authentically, you set an example for those around you. You inspire others by showing them that they too can break free from these limiting habits and reclaim their own power. The more you embrace your own growth, the more you recognize the importance of encouraging others to do the same. Authenticity is not just about personal freedom, it's about lifting others up along the way. It's about creating a ripple effect that inspires collective growth. When you share your journey, when you speak openly about your struggles and your victories, you give others the permission to do the same. You become a beacon of hope for those who feel stuck, for those who feel trapped by the pressure to please. And together as a collective, we can shift the narrative and build a culture that values authenticity over approval, integrity over conformity. Breaking free from people pleasing is a process, and it's not always easy. But it becomes so much more meaningful when you share that process with others. Your story can be the light that guides someone else out of the darkness of self-doubt. When you speak up about the challenges you faced in setting boundaries, in prioritizing your own needs, and in embracing your true self, you open the door for others to step into their own power. You show them that they're not alone in their struggle, and that change is possible. But the more we talk about it, the more we normalize the idea of living authentically without fear of disappointing others. As you encourage others to break free from people-pleasing, you also remind them of the importance of community. This isn't just about individual growth, it's about lifting each other up. When we share the message of authenticity, we create a space where people feel safe to express themselves, to set boundaries, and to live with intention. We become part of a movement that values self-respect, mutual understanding, and personal freedom. The more we speak out, the more we create an environment where living authentically is not only accepted, but celebrated. So don't keep this journey to yourself. Share it. Speak about it. Spread the message far and wide. By encouraging others to break free from their people-pleasing habits, you're not just transforming your own life, you're contributing to the transformation of the entire collective. When we all begin to live for ourselves, when we embrace who we truly are without fear of judgment, we could create a powerful movement that changes the world, one authentic life at a time. As we wrap up this journey together, remember that breaking free from the cycle of people-pleasing is not an overnight transformation. It's a process, a commitment to yourself and your own growth. It's about embracing discomfort, setting boundaries, choosing authenticity over approval. And yes, some people may leave your life, but those who truly value you will remain. The more you prioritize your own peace and live authentically, the more you'll attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right energy. Understand this: your worth is never dependent on how much you give to others or how much you please them. It's about being true to who you are and finding the strength to say no when necessary, to stand in your truth, and to embrace the freedom that comes from letting go of fear and judgment. It's uncomfortable, yes, but in that discomfort lies your greatest growth. Now it's time to spread the message. Share your journey with others, encourage them to break free from their own people-pleasing habits, and inspire a wave of collective growth. You have the power to change your own life, and in doing so, you can inspire others to do the same. Together, we can create a world where authenticity is valued, where people live for themselves without fear of disappointing others. Keep pushing forward. Keep living for yourself. And remember, your freedom starts the moment you stop living to please others. Embrace it, share it, and watch as your life transforms. Thank you for taking the time to listen and reflect on this message. Remember, every step you take toward authenticity, every boundary set, every choice you make in alignment with your true self is a victory. You are on the right path, and your journey toward freedom and fulfillment has already begun. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to Daily Motivational for more insights and encouragement. Like this video and share it with those who need to hear it. Let's spread the message of authenticity together. Take care, stay true to yourself, and keep moving forward. Until next time, stay strong, stay authentic, and remember, you are enough just as you are. Goodbye for now.